So, Candace, maybe tell us why you're back here again, why your group is back here talking about time to care and what this all means here.
Yeah, well, we were here in the spring where we were drawing attention to the cuts at the FJ Davy home. We were successful in having one of the decisions reversed from the facility where they weren't replacing the first sick call-in per unit per day, but unfortunately all other cuts they moved forward with. They've also announced money for additional staff that has not been implemented yet. They announced $350,000 additional dollars. That money is still sitting in the coffers somewhere, not reaching the bedside. And we're here to say enough is enough. It's enough in the Sioux, it's enough across the province, and we need people in power to have the political will to actually do something and get something done. These are people, the loved ones that built our province, and it's not acceptable anymore that they're living in intolerable conditions and workers are forced to provide substandard care because we don't have the funding to provide the care that we need to.
Does it seem like it's primarily a money issue? It seems like that. We heard that phrase quite a bit. It's a business over just care and dignity for the patients.
Yeah, I mean, they
who are
claim
being served in those homes.
they claim that it's a money issue, but I mean, there are lots of decisions that could be made to enhance the revenue in our province. Those decisions are not being made, and as a result, it means that money's not being filtered into the front line. And quite frankly, the question is, can we afford not to put it here? Our seniors are worth absolutely every penny.
What we're looking at in the background is a video presentation that was shown earlier today, and it really hits home just how deep
It does.
this issue is for a lot of people, for
Yeah.
millions of people.
And the reality is we heard predominantly one story on this video from a family member, but this is one story of thousands of stories across the province. Anybody who has a loved one or anybody who works in long-term care has a story to tell. They're all powerful, they're all impactful. You know, in many ways they bring you to tears. And, you know, enough is enough. We need a legislated care standard. We need the Minister of Health, we need the Premier, and we need David Orazietti to have some, you know, clout and actually make something happen in this regard.
Now, we did hear from a representative from the FJ Davy home, and they are struggling, as she put it. One of the big issues would be taking physical care of the patient, having them toileted. If you can explain the challenges there as an example.
Well, I mean, you know, when you only have so few staff to deal with so many residents, and most residents for safety reasons require two people to lift, if you don't have that other person available to lift, it means that person has to wait. That wait could be 5 minutes, it could be 50 minutes. It's hard to say. There should be no wait. When someone has to use the washroom, we should be encouraging them to go so that we can avoid them becoming incontinent. It's a downward spiral and it's ruining the system.
And we had a representative from Mapleview here, and they're a fairly new facility. They just opened a couple of years ago, but they're feeling some of these cuts too. In fact, just yesterday, they're going through cuts in nursing care.
I think that speaks to the systemic issue across the province. It's happening everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're a public home, a private home, a charitable home, and a municipal home. It's a widespread provincial problem, and it needs to be fixed, and it needs to start with the government recognizing that this is a problem, putting additional money into frontline care, and ensuring that the money that is sent this way reaches the bedside. That's how the problem's going to be fixed.
So, you compare it to other provinces, Ontario, how much funding there is. Compared to other provinces, there's at least three that you mentioned that have, in your words, substantially more per patient.
Yeah, in one case $100 per resident per day. In another case it was, I think, $85 per resident per day. I mean, these are real dollars. They matter. They mean something.
Mm-hmm. So, it was also mentioned on the video that in 2003, the government of the day promised a standard of care, which experts have said is a minimum of 4 hours per patient per day.
Yeah.
And it's only maybe half that now.
Yeah, exactly. It's half that now. In 2003, the Liberals, you know, called on us. They asked us to stand down our public campaign. We did so in good faith, thinking that they were going to take some action on this, and they've done absolutely nothing. They've dragged their heels. They've introduced, you know, commissions and studies, but at the end of the day, they haven't done and taken the necessary action, which is a legislated care standard of 4 hours per resident per day, and that's based on an average. So if you need more based on your acuity levels, you're going to get more. If you need less, you're going to get less, but there has to be some kind of legislated guarantee to ensure that people are living their final days with dignity and respect in this province. That's not a lot for us to ask for.
So, since the Time to Care campaign kicked off, has it been working? Has there been any signs aside from the one that was mentioned here?
Well, I
locally?
mean, it's been working insofar as it's raising the awareness of the public. People are becoming a lot more informed. They're starting to sign our petitions. They're starting to lobby levels of government. And we're hoping through this campaign that we can, garner enough public attention and support and enough pushback from people that government will start to pay attention and they will start to listen and they will start to please their constituents by doing the right thing and helping people who are living in these homes.
So it's now twice in 6 months. The provincial government did get reelected in the summer.
Yeah.
Do we plan to expect this as a regular thing until changes
Well,
happen?
yeah, we're
or-
not going to stop. We're here in the Sioux with over 250 healthcare workers from across the province, and one of the main things we're going to be talking about is how we ramp up the pressure on all levels of government to ensure that this doesn't continue.
Do you plan to make any other northern stops, or is this part of a provincial tour to get the word out to more people?
Well, we're holding an event here with healthcare workers, so it was appropriate for us to do this with uniform, with CUPE, because they're experiencing cuts here. But, it's happening in Lindsay, it's happening in Peterborough, it's happening in, Windsor, in Niagara Falls. Cuts are happening everywhere, and everywhere they're going to be happening, we're going to be ringing the alarm bell and raising the issue and calling on the government to do the right thing.
I think you brought up your own example. It was mentioned that this will happen to someone you love. It was mentioned in the video. And recently you had to put your father in a long-term care facility, and that has to be very hard on you.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked in this sector since I was 16 years old, so I know its reality all too well, and it was a hard day moving my dad in that home, 66 years old, and while I know that people do the best they can with the resources that they have, they're not enough. So people do suffer, and people don't necessarily live with the dignity that they deserve, and it's incredibly difficult to watch, and it's incredibly difficult to know that something can be done about this, and nothing's being done. That's the hard part. We can change this.
If people are interested in this campaign, how can they learn more about it?
They can visit the CUPE Ontario website at cupe.on.ca. We have a Time to Care website as well. You can link right to the Time to Care website from our CUPE Ontario site. You can contact our representatives who are active in the campaign. We have literature, we have speaking notes, we've got lots of different avenues for people to get involved.